Are my judges ready? Primum non nocere, or simply first to do no harm. Although this phrase is typically associated with medical students as they're indoctrinated as physicians, this mentality can be applied to a vegan lifestyle as well. After all, the concept of veganism is simple: to do no harm to the animals, the earth, or the environment, or your health, sorry. On July 1st, 2015, I made the bold decision to go vegetarian, not knowing that this seemingly simple choice would greatly affect my future. Months later, I found myself a passage book for my senior project. I could combine my love for cooking with my passion for veganism in order to create a project that would positively influence my community. Although the entire animal agriculture industry has its faults, the factory farming industry is by far the most unethical. The species most affected by these institutions are chickens and pigs. In 2003, approximately 8.7 million broiler chickens and 259 million egg-laying chickens were slaughtered. Chickens that are raised for the meat industry are often housed in large sheds that can house up to 20,000 birds at any given time. Female chickens who are subjected to the egg industry are often housed in what are known as battery cages. These are wire mesh cages that can house 4 to 7 birds. Due to the close quarters, the chickens often resort to pecking and scratching at one another, which causes wounds and infection. Like chickens, many pigs are housed on indoor factory farms with little to no mental or visual stimulation. Female pigs specifically, as they prepare to give birth, are often confined in what are known as farrowing crates. These crates keep the mother completely immobilized while the piglets are able to nurse safely for the entirety of the nursing period. Many practices such as these differ widely from natural predation and treat animals as though they are mere objects. Although the ethical aspect of animal agriculture is emotionally provocative, the environmental effects of the animal agriculture industry are devastating, particularly in regards to global warming. Global warming is caused by the production of greenhouse gases. Global warming, or climate change, causes climates around the world to be eternally altered. According to a study done at Johns Hopkins Center for a Livable Future, livestock manufacturing contributes approximately 14.5% of total greenhouse gas emissions. And while this number may not seem very high to you and I, this number is actually larger than the amount of emissions produced by the entire transportation sector. Due to weather patterns and climate change over the past 200 years, climate scientists are able to predict that the lasting effects of global warming will include more intense storms, an increase in heat waves, melting ice caps, and therefore rising sea levels. In addition to contributing to global warming, the animal agriculture industry also is a misuse of resources, contributes to mass deforestation, as well as contributes to the global water crisis. Currently, the U.S. livestock population consumes 7 times as much grain as consumed directly by the American people. According to the Wageningen University Research Center, livestock manufacturing can be held accountable for nearly 80% of deforestation worldwide. Additionally, the animal agriculture industry uses much of the fresh water available to us globally. According to a study done, researchers were able to find that livestock manufacturing can be held accountable for nearly 70% of global freshwater usage. In addition to being unhealthy or environmentally unsustainable and unethical, the animal agriculture industry has also contributed to the decline in American health. Although many people would claim that vegetarian or vegan diets are nutritionally deficient, the American Dietetic Association states that appropriately planned vegetarian, including total vegan diets, are healthful, nutritionally adequate, and may provide benefits in the treatment and prevention of certain diseases. Vegetarian diets have been associated with lower levels of heart disease, hypertension, and type 2 diabetes. Many claim that vegan diets are deficient in protein, iron, and B12, but researchers were able to conclude that a vegan diet can and will meet these requirements simply by supplementing vitamin B12 and eating plant foods that are rich in vitamins and minerals. Annually, 357,000 people die from heart disease, 9 million people die from hypertension, and 20 million people are diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. Heart disease is caused by fatty deposits in the walls of your arteries. These fatty deposits can be caused by the excess consumption of dietary cholesterol as well as trans and saturated fats, all of which occur naturally in animal products. In America, we depend highly on animal protein, and due to that, researchers have recently been able to connect the high levels of hypertension in our society to our high dependency on animal protein. And in addition to being facilitated by carbohydrates, as we all know, researchers were able to find in a study that type 2 diabetes can also be facilitated by the excess consumption of animal products like butter and cream. Upon discovering that animal products were not ethically produced, environmentally sustainable, or healthy, I knew that I wanted to have my product focus around veganism. I wanted to bring a topic that is not common in my community, the much needed awareness. I wanted to show people that going vegan isn't nearly as daunting as it seems, and that the recipes can be delicious and simple to prepare. I created a vegan cookbook titled Just Vegan. My cookbook has 40 recipes, and that includes 10 breakfast, lunch, and dinner recipes, as well as 5 appetizer and 5 dessert recipes. When I was choosing which recipes to include in my cookbook, I simply chose the most popular ones for each category. I photographed all of my own photos for the cookbook, and I included photos on both the cover and divider pages. I designed the cover of my cookbook using Canva, and I published through CreateSpace. I knew from the beginning that I wanted to self-publish my cookbook because not only would it be a lot cheaper, it would also be a lot more challenging because I would have to learn a different type of system in order to format my cookbook. My cookbooks ended up costing approximately $3.65 for each copy, and when I marketed them at $8, they generated a total profit of $100.05. I chose to donate the proceeds of my project to the organization Vegan Outreach. I chose Vegan Outreach because they are not-for-profit and they promote sustainable vegan activism. One of the issues I faced within my project was time management. Not only am I a full-time student, but I also work part-time and I'm involved in many extracurricular activities. This made a project which included recipe developing, recipe testing, photographing, and editing my cookbook much more challenging. Another issue I faced was learning so many different types of technology in such a short period of time. I was able to learn how to use my DSLR camera for food photography, Canva for graphic design purposes, and CreateSpace for formatting and publication purposes. So next time you hear an archaic phrase like primum non nocere, consider what phrases like this can mean in your everyday life. To do no harm in regards to the ethical aspect of veganism means to simply do your best to not harm animals. Not harming the earth means not contributing to industries that contribute to global warming and deforestation. And although health is unique to each individual, not harming your health means not consuming products that are potentially harmful. So before you contribute to the animal agriculture industry, consult your values. Ask yourself if your values allow for the unethical production of meat and other animal products that is prevalent in our society. Ask yourself if mere taste and convenience overpower melting ice caps, rising sea levels, and the extinction of rainforests. Ask yourself if you're willing to consume products that are potentially harmful. Consider whether you are willing to put animals, the earth, and your health at risk, just for a cheeseburger. Do my judges have any questions? Yes.
I don't quite know what hypertension is.
It's high blood pressure.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the term we most know.
All right.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do you have difficulty finding things to eat, like when you go to a restaurant?
That is actually one of my biggest challenges I face, especially around here when our restaurant choices are already pretty limited. So I've had to be kind of creative when I go out to eat. And honestly, a lot of times if I'm stuck at a steakhouse, I will usually just order like French fries and broccoli and then eat a little bit more when I get home. But there are some restaurants that offer veggie burgers and stuff like that, just depending on really what type of city you're in and what all is available. Yeah. Anyone else have any more questions?
How expensive is it to eat vegan compared to non-vegan?
Um,
Like, is
well,
there a price difference? or-
Yeah, actually, a lot of people think that. It really depends on what type of vegan you want to be. Because if you want to eat the vegan products, like vegan ice cream and vegan cheese and all the different meat substitutes, those are generally a lot more expensive, so you are going to spend more. But if you focus on whole plant foods like rice and beans and lentils and seasonal vegetables, I find that it's actually a lot cheaper because sometimes meat and dairy specifically are really expensive. So I've actually found that it's been a lot cheaper. All right, well, thank you guys so much.